Each time you pause and label, I also offer that you can pick up a breadcrumb. Like maybe trading the button down for a cardigan points to your brain's need for self care and comfort. Instead of meaning something has gone wrong or forcing yourself to be who you were, those breadcrumbs might be signaling that something new is going right. They may show your priorities shifting so that you can grow in new ways. These breadcrumbs are the reason I challenged myself to sign up for coach certification in the first place, even though at the time I had no plans to start a coaching business. I just honored that I was feeling bored at work and needed something else to think about. Over time, I became more open to a different career path and I started to be far less controlling at home. Welcome to the Choose Better Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Doyle, certified life and leadership coach, and I'm here to help you make your complex life feel easy. Every episode, we tackle one subconscious limiting belief. You will leave this space having shifted your mindset to level up your career, embrace a Zen-like style of parenting, and finally savor the life you've worked so hard to create. So pop in your earbuds and let's do some coaching. Today, I want to talk about those moments when you look in a mirror and feel like you don't recognize yourself. It's the same face, but maybe the circles under your eyes look darker, or maybe the button down that once made you feel so sharp and professional hangs all wrong now. If you're like me, in these moments, tiny questions like, who am I? Am I losing myself? Might creep into your brain. I lived in these moments big time in the spring and summer of 2020. My newborn wasn't gaining weight, my 2-year-old needed me every minute, and the career that had been the biggest part of my identity was on hold. And my body felt like someone else's. I was taking no more early morning runs, and my muscles had softened, and the bright clothes in my closet felt tight and out of style. If this sounds familiar, you are in good company. I have coached dozens of women in their 30s and 40s, especially moms with young kids, who describe this same hazy feeling that they are losing themselves. So that's what we're talking about today: how to work with those brain and hormone changes, growing through the shift and updating your self concept instead of trying to go back to who you were or toward who you think you should be. And of course, you can change your career or your partner or your phase or your body. But if you don't change your mindset, the dopamine from these external changes will fade. So let's talk about how to do this. The first step is always self awareness, noticing your thought patterns without turning them into emergencies. Self awareness is that brief pause that moves you from this subconscious autopilot to a more conscious place of choice. As I previewed in the intro, my personal sense of self really started to wobble in 2020. When I noticed gradually that the clothes I used to wear didn't fit right, instead of upgrading my wardrobe to fit my new body, I hid in black and gray loose layers. And rather than swapping my runs for walks or giving my skin a quick nightly wash, I neglected myself altogether. I avoided the mirror because of this mean girl commentary I had in my head all the time. In reality, I was still very much in survival parenting mode, and all of this made good sense for the season that I was in. But my brain layered on self rejection that drained my energy even more than my actual parenting did. Another jolt came at me when I sat down at my desk and I opened a spreadsheet for the first time after maternity leave. I really like spreadsheets and I like strategic thinking. I like numbers. I like organization. But I remember in that moment, I felt totally disinterested. And I subtly beat myself up about that too. And in hindsight, I see that I also procrastinated and I overcompensated so much by trying to control everything in my personal life. I was like organizing every bin, perfecting all of the routines, only for my kids to grow out of them 2 seconds later. And I wasn't really working to trust myself that I could just handle each day. But here's what I have learned now that I am out of the fog. These moments were pings from my body and my brain that it's under renovation. They were not proof that something was wrong or that I was broken. And I now know two critical pieces of information. One, as we move through our 30s and 40s, estrogen and progesterone start a new rhythm, and it's totally normal for this to blur our focus and tilt our mood and change how our bodies store weight. And when these hormones dip, serotonin dips too. So our patience ebbs and our moods swing. I know this sounds really obvious, but I wasn't paying attention. And cortisol also gets higher after months of patchy sleep. And that can turn small annoyances, like my husband chewing, into what feels like a fire alarm in your head. And the second thing I now know is that the brain is kind of a use it or lose it type of organ. It naturally trims circuits that we're not using, like late night slide deck work or 8-mile runs, to make space for the skills that whatever season you're in demands, like soothing a newborn while negotiating snack time with a toddler. So, in your career, maybe increasing your awareness is noting that you tend to pause in a meeting to gather thoughts instead of being able to fire off instant ideas. Or in your relationship, maybe it means just simply noticing when you snap at your partner and wonder why. And in terms of your health, maybe it means simply acknowledging that even though you're eating less and clean, you're not losing the weight you might want to. Each instance can feel like something has gone wrong, but it's really your body signaling that you are mid update. This is all totally normal, and there's no need to be mean to yourself about it. Just notice it. So try a tiny experiment just to gain a little more self awareness. The next time something feels a little off, like the need for extra thinking time or the flare of irritability, pause for just 5 seconds and name the thought that's popping up. Maybe, like me, it's I'm losing myself or this isn't me. Label a thought and remind yourself nothing has gone wrong. This is normal for this season of life. My new identity is taking shape. So once you've named the thought, like I'm losing myself, notice the echo in your body. Your shoulders might creep up right before a meeting, or maybe your intense reaction to your toddler belting out Baby Shark for the 20th time feels like proof that you're slipping. When you catch the flare from your body, rest your eyes on something still and breathe once and label it. Tight chest, afraid I'm fading. That quick name tag calms the brain's alarm system, so the next words to yourself come out softer. And research backs this up. Simply putting words to a feeling quiets the amygdala and re engages your prefrontal cortex. One plain sentence to yourself, acknowledging that you're a human having a normal human experience, can save you so many hours of overcorrecting or ruminating. Each time you pause and label, I also offer that you can pick up a breadcrumb. Like maybe trading the button down for a cardigan points to your brain's need for self care and comfort. Or the spreadsheet boredom, like me, is hinting that your mind craves a different work cadence or even content. Instead of meaning something has gone wrong or forcing yourself to be who you were, those breadcrumbs might be signaling that something new is going right. They may show your priorities shifting so that you can grow in new ways. For me, my brain started craving ease and mental breathing room and overall wellness instead of the perfection driven schedule that had kept me successful for so long. These breadcrumbs are the reason I challenged myself to sign up for coach certification in the first place, even though at the time I had no plans to start a coaching business. I just honored that I was feeling bored at work and needed something else to think about. The overstimulation I felt listening to my husband chew or my toddler yell forced me to carve out more introvert time. And this time has produced so much peace and creativity for me. By listening to what my body was telling me over time, I did not get this right away. I became more open to a different career path and I started to be far less controlling at home. So, right now, or when you have a quiet moment, do a quick mental 2-column list. On one side, I want you to just picture things in your life that feel forced right now, like the 5 a.m. workout, or being in every meeting, or maybe some old floral top that you've been wearing for years. And on the other side, I want you to picture what feels more fresh. Maybe a slow walk, or more thinking time at work, or investing in a capsule wardrobe. Don't judge this list. You're only collecting clues. Remember, get the raw data first and then we take action later. You're simply letting the human part of you speak without being shushed. The next step is to look a little deeper at our thoughts. For me, an insight came the night before one of my first client calls after leave. The girls were finally asleep, and I sat down to work on a slide deck, and my chest felt tight and hot. I took that slow breath and I put the coaching skills I was learning in my course to work. I named it Chest Tight Anxious. And then I asked, what thought is creating this feeling? And sentences in my brain popped up fast. They're going to think I've lost a step. I'm losing myself. I'm not as good as the old Amanda Doyle. Seeing the thoughts in plain words is often enough self coaching for me to realize that they're not true. But I often use the self coaching model to help my brain see the result that this belief is creating for me. When our conscious brains can see that our subconscious thinking is creating an unwanted result, then it can start to realize that it's not useful. This realization is how you quote unquote let go of a thought. You get unstuck and you actually step into a new identity. You are showing your brain in black and white that the thought is no longer keeping you safe. Here's what that coaching model looks like for me. First, we name the circumstance that we think is the problem. So, my circumstance in that moment was that I had a 10 a.m. Zoom with the team and I was getting less sleep than I used to. My current belief, which was subconscious until I noticed it, was that I've lost my edge. They need the old me. My feeling was anxiety. And from that place of anxiety, I noticed previous actions. I tended to over prepare, to over explain, apologize for background noise, shrink on the camera. And the result I created for myself was less rest, less confidence, less boldness in presenting my out of the box ideas, and overall just not living up to my potential, which is exactly what I feared by thinking that I've lost my edge. I decided that I didn't want to keep this thought anymore. It wasn't creating a result for me that I liked. Whenever I notice a limiting belief like this, they need the old me, I always turn to Byron Katie's first two questions from her method. I asked myself, is it true that they need the old me? Can I absolutely know that it's true? And the honest answer was no. And then I asked myself, could the opposite be true? That crack of doubt in my own doubt let in a new, gentler line. Maybe I have a new edge. Maybe this version of me is better. My shoulders dropped and I could breathe. And almost in a flash in this scenario, I got the notion in my head that my colleagues care about solid solutions, not whether my tone matches 2015. They are not comparing me to my old self. I am. They are completely open to a new version of me. This is the crux of all mindset work. Finding a little window in your brain to believe something more powerful than you do right now. From that little window, I've ended up changing my entire life. But it all started in my head, not my actions. Those came later. I challenge you to walk yourself through the same steps today. When you feel that knot under your shoulder blade or like a little swirl in your stomach, pause and ask, what sentence is sitting here? Write the first words that surface, even if they sound dramatic. Then do a quick CTFAR version of your own story, the bare circumstance that your brain thinks is the problem, like my 10-minute meeting and less sleep. The thought, which is what you're making that mean and where you have all of your power. The feeling, what you tend to do when you are in that place of emotional suffering, and the result you create when that emotion is in charge. Finally, question the thought with those two plain yes or no questions. Then try a gentler line you can believe right now. Something like mine. Maybe I have new edge. Maybe this new me is profoundly better. Or even simpler and more generally, maybe it's true that instead of losing myself, I'm finding myself. And you don't have to force this new sentence to stick. Just notice whether your breath loosens when you read it. So, that quieter sentence, maybe I'm finding myself. This is what I call a bridge thought. It doesn't leap from I'm irrelevant to I'm crushing it. It just cracks the door open. The goal now is to walk through that door often enough that your brain starts treating the new hallway as familiar. In my case, I wrote my bridge thought for that client meeting on a note on my monitor. Maybe I have edge. Maybe this version of me is better. And I glanced at it for weeks. This tiny reminder kept my confidence up, and it prompted me to think all day of all the ways I had become a smarter worker since becoming a mom. I had learned to slice to the crux of the matter in a way that only moms juggling a million things can do. I had learned to explain things clearly and succinctly and to listen to understand more deeply to not just what my peers were saying, but also to what might be underneath what they were saying. Both things that felt surprisingly easy on a Zoom call after handling a million toddler tantrums. So pick a bridge line about your evolving identity that you can actually believe. Do the breath test. If your lungs loosen, keep it. If your stomach knots, tweak it. You have to believe your new thought in order for it to spark action for you. And remember, with any bridge thought, you're just running a little experiment. You're spotting the old limiting belief and feeling, labeling them, offering your bridge, and then you hunt for micro evidence in real time of your new belief. One helpful comment, one nod on Zoom, one family blow up diffused. Each of these micro wins splashes dopamine on the newborn neural pathway, and it tells the fear-based part of your brain, see, the new thought is safe. Change is safe. So if your bridge thought is ready for a field test, let's give your brain a little more proof. Think of it like a little micro experiment that touches one of the three big areas in your life: career, relationships, and health. Open a notes app or grab a sticky. Ask yourself one question: what tiny move would show the new me today? Then pick just one from whichever arena feels the loudest. Maybe at work, you block your calendar differently or cancel a few meetings. Or maybe you swap the black leggings for something that reflects your personality instead of what you might wear to just get by, even if you only wear it for a midday coffee run. Write your choice in 5 words or less. Schedule time for me. Wear the pink shirt. Stick it where you'll see it. During the day, each time the old thought, I'm losing myself, pops up, try on your bridge thought, I'm finding myself, or whatever you have chosen, and then act on the note. No drama, just the one move. And then when you lay your head down to sleep, do a quick reflection on how practicing the thought played out. Ask yourself 2 questions. First, what happened? Did you feel relief? Maybe procrastinated less, wore the shirt, maybe felt a little lighter? Then, how did it feel? Did you feel a little prouder, a little looser, a little calmer, a little more in control, a little more energized? Just let your brain let that sink in for a moment. This review helps the part of your brain trying to hold on to your old identity. It lets it know that this new identity is safe and useful, even if it's different. And proof in this way for your brain, this will beat a pep talk every single time. Wow, so amazing job. You just did so much real inner work. You spotted the moments that feel off, named the thought underneath, tested a bridge sentence, and decided on one small confident action that you can use bolstered by your bridge thought. That's enough to prove to yourself that you are still in there. You are just updating your operating system. You're not broken, you're human. You're not lost, you're upgrading. You are not losing yourself, you are finding yourself. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Choose Better Thoughts podcast. If you found these ideas helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who is also craving more confidence, connection, and calm. For more free resources and a deeper dive into my step-by-step formula for making your complex life feel easy, head over to my website at choosebetterthoughts.com. Until next time, remember that you're already there, already enough, and your goals are as good as done. You've